How do you know when you're speaking from a wound? What I mean by this is, how do you know that when you're reacting to something that's happening, let's say between you and a partner, from a place that is unhealed, some kind of memory or thing that happened to you that isn't fully resolved and integrated in who you are and the story of your life, can come out in ways that you are reacting. Let's say if you're in an argument with your partner and you find yourself speaking in a way maybe with anger or infused with fear or some sort of storyline that you're telling yourself about what's happening between the two of you, and it feels familiar and you feel agitated in a disproportionate way to the thing that started the argument or the issue at hand, let's say, that's how you know that there's a part of you that is reacting here that has been awakened or triggered or activated. We can use a lot of these words to talk about a version of ourselves that was constructed due to something that happened to us in our past. And that version of ourselves comes out and speaks when it is notified that something is happening now that reminds me of something that happened before, and therefore that version of me from before needs to come forth and react to the things that's happening. This is not always the healthiest way to go about things, obviously. If you can recognize that you are maybe reacting in a way that's disproportionate or not super relevant or very quickly, like you're getting angry really fast about a situation, that's a key, that's a flag that something is going on deeper under the surface. And so you should do some digging. You should look into your past, try to dig around in your memory and find out what about this situation reminds me of something that happened to me before. What's familiar here? And what is my wound trying to protect me from, right? It's a version of yourself that was injured in a very specific way. If you can identify what that was, then you can recognize how and why it's being brought to the surface in the moment. So for example, if your partner hangs up on you in the middle of an argument or walks out the door and leaves, that can trigger an abandonment wound, for example. And everybody has an abandonment wound. It all just looks different and comes out in different ways for different people. Or, for example, if your partner suddenly rejects and rescinds on a promise to help you with a project, for example, and you're very agitated and you're arguing about it, and you're like, I thought I was going to get your help on this. Your partner is recognizing, if they're able to in the moment, very difficult in the moment, that when I feel a sense of obligation coming from you, then I don't feel the freedom to withdraw my consent to help you on this project or go on this trip with you or whatever it is. And that relates to their wound about being trapped and not being able to withdraw consent about something, for example, or obligations from someone else being crushing and like used against them in a situation. This isn't immediately apparent. It really takes a little while to figure out, but do that digging because it is so worth it. And when you can speak from a place of a healed wound, you can say, I recognize how this is similar. This is how it played out in my past, but I'm going to approach it with fresh eyes and give you the benefit of the doubt, and that I'm not reacting to some version that isn't you. That's like a boogeyman from the past, if you were to put it that way. So when you're speaking from a wound, it tends to come out in a way that feels uncontrolled or irrelevant to the situation. So keep an eye out for that. If you like this sort of advice, check out my podcast, Head Over Feels.